Hey, so this is Jacob again, and today in this video I'm going to be introducing a new archetype on this channel, which is the devlog. Um, so the first thing I'm going to be doing in this devlog series is a very pragmatic thing, which is refactoring my blog website that I have. So I developed the blog website about probably like a year ago, probably a little bit more than that, and I wrote a bunch of code for it, and it was kind of the first time I had done certain patterns in the code, and as usual, that just kind of ends up being trash later on. So you got to purge that trash and you know fix it up so that it can do new things, but also just do old things better, right? What does this refactoring really entail? Um, One of the biggest changes is the way that I'm going to actually write the code and the library I'm going to use to write the code, mostly for the backend. So the backend currently, as it stands, uses Nginx, Unicorn, Flask, and Python. And Nginx and Unicorn are going to stay the same in this refactoring, and Flask is going to be swapped out with Fast API for two main reasons. One is I'd like to have WebSockets be just like part of most of my web sites or apps or whatever. I just want it to kind of be baked in there without having to create a totally new kind of like separate server and project that runs the WebSocket side. The other side, the other reason to switch to Fast API is it's asynchronous, which is just superior for a lot of stuff. Any IO you have can basically be non-blocking, so the amount of requests that you can actually serve is probably going to be faster. And it might not come into play with a blog all that much because a blog is mostly just serving static files almost. But we'll see. I'm going to do it anyways, and it's going to be my first real Fast API project, and I'm super excited about it. That's the change for basically some of the tech stack I'm using, but the actual approach I'm going to take to development is different this time. The first time I developed front-end code simultaneously while developing back-end code, and I would sort of test the back-end code through, writing the requests in the front-end code and, refreshing the page and seeing stuff like that, and having a debugger in the back-end too. And it worked well enough, but this time I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do the entire back-end separate from the front end. And then I'm going to write tests for the entire backend. Even for stuff that I think shouldn't matter and would never break, I'm going to write tests for it. And that's going to take longer, but it's going to be better in the end for a number of reasons. One, you have tests. That's good. Two, I'm going to be learning how to write tests and becoming quite comfortable with it. And that's just a good skill to have in general. So that's gonna be quite different, and that's the main stuff for the refactoring in the back end. I'm gonna have to revisit the code that I already wrote that's in Flask, kind of like digest it over again, and then start from scratch-ish with Fast API, and then write the test suite, and then when I feel like the test suite is exercising the back end well enough, I'll probably start working on the front end then. The front end's refactoring is a little bit different. We're still going to use Nginx. We're still going to use React.js. Nothing's changing there. What we had though before, we're still going to be using the other tools that we were using too, which is React Router and React Helm. But the problem is the front end is a piece of trash. Like the code, a lot of the things I was doing in it were like the first time I had done them, like with React Router and React Helm. So my project wasn't built with that sort of tool in mind. So it just doesn't, it needs to be refactored with the React Router being at the forefront of the entire design of the application. And so none of these things are going to be too hard, but it's still going to probably take a considerable amount of time. But um, but I know that it's going to be worth it in the end, anyways. And so, yeah, that's what I've been thinking about this refactor, and I figured I would just start doing devlogs on stuff because I want to be comfortable doing this. I don't want to be afraid of just basically being transparent. Like, I'm not the smartest person on the planet, and I'm not like the most successful. And I'm never going to be able to hide that. And I'm not going to try and construct this perfect image of myself. Instead, I'm just going to display what is here and basically become comfortable with it. And I think the more you do that, the more it really settles in. And you're like, all right, of course, there are consequences to basically creating an open history of a video history of yourself. Everyone will have forever anything you do that's awkward, cringy, I don't know, just in bad taste, at their disposal till the end of time. But I figured that that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's more important for me to be comfortable with doing this whole pattern because I know in my heart it's the correct thing to do. I also feel in my logical, mathematical, reasoning part of my mind, it's the correct thing to do. Everybody should be, if they're doing anything worth, paying attention to, should be video recording it. But I understand that it's kind of hard to get that started. And I'm probably not going to talk about this as much in the future, but it's still very new to me. Like this is, so it's going to be interesting. But what I'm most excited about for these devlogs on this channel is like making completely transparent open source projects that also exist on the internet, so people can go and like just check them out and see what they are, and like download all of the code and like communicate with me about it. I want to kind of make it that, and that's sort of, I think, the ultimate goal with the refactoring of this blog. Do people need another blog engine? No. But would people be interested in seeing the blog engine that I made? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm going to kind of try and make that more transparent. Of course, in making things transparent, I have to be extra vigilant so that I don't release anything that, basically is a security risk for the type of things that I'm trying to do, right? Which is hard with computer science because, if you show one thing, like one secret key or one password or anything, you're going to have to change that and it's forever on the internet. So I'm trying to avoid doing that, right? But anyways, that's going to be it for this first devlog. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to continue kind of doing these from time to time. I don't know how much, I'm not a video editor right now. I may end up putting more time and energy into it in the future if it feels like it's worth it. But I'm a programmer at heart, and what I'm trying to do is share programming, not like be a comedian or anything. I mean, maybe eventually I can do something like that. If I think that will come down to how I feel about the whole thing, because a lot of people mix everything. They basically try and be like edutainment, and I'm not sure I want to do that yet. So anyways, that's the end of this devlog. If you're interested in more things like this, check out some of my other videos on this channel. Check out my programming blog at pieharbor.com. And yeah, leave a comment, and thanks for tuning in.